Hello there, it's me again, and today I'm going to talk about rosé because I got plenty of rosé, and I did a video a couple weeks ago, but I realized I didn't have enough space on my phone, so just went to waste. So I'm going to do this video now before I run out of rosé. Okay, so it's gonna tell you the process of rosé, how to pick the proper rosé. So okay, there's probably three major ways of method in making rosé. The first one, the easiest one, will be the blending. So what you're going to do, this will be the no-brainer. So you have the white wine, the red wine, mix a little bit, and voila, you have a rosé. That's easy, right? However, in France, or not in France, in Europe in general, maybe throughout the world actually, it's not a common technique to blend fermented red wine, fermented grape, white wine to make a rosé. You can only, I believe it's allowed, but it's not highly practiced. It's technically a taboo, except for if you're making a sparkling wine, which you're allowed to mix red wine and white wine to fermented red wine and white wine, basically to make a rosé. In this case, I have a Bourbon. It's a Cremant de Bourgogne. It's basically same as the champagne variety. So you have a Chardonnay and a little bit of Pinot Noir, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's the first one. That's the blending. So there's another one called maceration. The short maceration. The skin from the color from for rosé is coming from the skin. If you can slice a piece of grapes right here, and you'll see that the center is actually, where are you? It's actually white. So this color will be coming from the skin. So there's a process called short maceration. Basically, you're leaving the skin. Let's say this is your grapes. You're leaving the skin contact with the juice to make it a little bit pinkish. The longer you leave the skin contact, the darker it will be. If you leave it for days and several days, instead of just like 3 days, if you leave it for like a week or something, then you will have a red wine basically. So that's a short maceration. That's what I'm drinking right now. It's a Tavel. Tavel is one of the oldest appellation in AOC in France. It's close to Chateauneuf du Pape. This is basically blend of different varieties. You're allowed to mix white in Tavel, however, that's before fermentation. So you can allow to blend it with other grapes before fermentation. After fermentation, you cannot blend it. And the Tavel is very special, the king of rosé. It's like one of favorite wine of from King Louis XIV to Ernest Hemingway. He loves Tavel. Tavel exclusively produces rosé. So saying Tavel and Tavel rosé is kind of redundancy. Tavel as well is very age-worthy. Tavel and Bandol, appellation is southern part of France as well. Bandol, rosé are very age-worthy. In general, rosé you want to drink it really young because it doesn't age well. 2 years probably the max as you can drink it from vintage. So maybe 2020 right now, drink it from 2018. If you drink like 2017, it'll still be okay, but it may not be good anymore. It's not gonna be as fruity as or crisp or fruity as you want it. You want rosé to be refreshing. So that's a short maceration. So they leave it for between like a few hours to few days, roughly 48 hours probably. Some of them I think like 6 hours to like 48 hours short maceration. Like I said, the longer you leave the skin contact with the juice, the darker it will be. Another process is the direct press. So what is the direct press? You basically just, let me find a place to put it. So basically just going to press the grapes after it crushed directly, just enough to color, to stain the, just enough to stain the juice. So I have right here is an AeroPress, so I'm gonna use it as an example. So I have right here, say this is like a crushed grapes. So you're gonna put it inside and you'll see what's direct press and where is it commonly practiced. Oh, it's leaking. I have to hurry because this thing is leaking so bad. So I may not have enough juice right here to spill some, but you get the point. So you crush the grapes and you put it in the presser. Obviously, you know, in a regular vineyards, they have a better presser, but so usually direct press are lighter, so it will be something like this. You can see it. Let me wipe it a little bit so you can see it. Ta-da! So I see that one. It's pinkish, but it's very light. So it's more like a direct press. Crush the grapes, you put in the presser, just press it, and that's it. That's commonly practiced in Provence, the southern part of France. Provence is probably one of the oldest rosé producing region, not intentional, by accident. So when the Greek introduced winemaking in Provence about like 2,600 years ago, so 600 BC roughly, they didn't really have any, you know, knowledge about maceration, that the skin you leave the contact with the juice, the longer you live there, the darker it will be. So they didn't really have that knowledge on that, and they end up making rosé, but it faded away. And then right now Provence is the largest producing rosé region, and they're more like an intentional rosé. What the intentional means is the whole goal of producer is to produce rosé, so it's not something else, and I will explain that later why there's something else. So in Provence they will harvest, usually they will harvest the grapes earlier than usual. It's where the acid is still high and thick. So I have right here, I think it's just really proper to get this rosé, because this accounts about 20% of rosé that we drink, Provence rosé that we drink in the United States. So it's 20% is pretty large number. So this is the Whispering Angel from Chateau d'Esclans. Yeah, it's nice, decent summer drinks if you want rosé that's refreshing. It's good. It's pretty affordable too, about like $20 only a bottle. And the other rosé method that I will mention is, there's the term called saignée. Saignée just mean it's bleeding, it's bloodletting, call it. Basically bleeding, just you let the grapes bleed and to have the color. So the whole idea of saignée is to have a higher concentration of juice to the skin of the grapes. They want to produce more fuller bodied red wine. So what the producer will do is say this is the red wine they're trying to make, and you will see it's a little bit pinkish, right? It's a little bit like kind of a rosé. So the producer will decide if you want to do the saignée. So they have to remove some of the liquid, and let's put the liquid out right here. So the less liquid you have there, the fuller body your red will be, because you have just little liquid to the skin contact. So yeah, just the idea to produce more fuller body wine. So saignée is more like sort of like, usually it's darker in color, but saignée is more like a byproduct only of a red wine. So it's controversial in a way that a lot of producers in France, that's kind of like they're not really happy about it, because they're not really intentionally producing a rosé. They just producing a red wine. They just happen to have a byproduct, so they will have the rosé like this, just from saignée. And where can you find those saignée method? Those are common in the Bordeaux, which is a major a red wine producing region, in Burgundy, and other places too. I have right here from Bordeaux. This is the same process. I'm really sure this is a Saunier method because they just see the colors a little bit darker as well. By the way, color doesn't really tell you a lot about rosé. It doesn't tell you how sweet the rosé. It doesn't tell you almost nothing. It's just you're not buying a paint, you're buying a wine. So buy a reputable producer from great regions if you really want to have a good rosé. Another Saunier that I know is the White Zinfandel. Is the famous White Zinfandel in America. So White Zinfandel is the same process. I think Bob Trinquera, if I'm not mistaken, from Sutter House Winery in northern part of Napa Valley. So he, about 1974, so he was introducing the same method, the Saunier. So what happened is like around 1972, he produced the same method. They used the Saunier method. He bottled the wine. It was okay. It wasn't that good. He sold some bottles and stuff. But in 1975, when he bottled the 1974 vintage, he with the Saunier as well, so removed the liquid and bottled it without realizing that there was actually a stock fermentation. A stock fermentation is the unprocessed sugar, unfermented sugar in the grapes. So what happens when you have unfermented sugar? You will end up with a sweet wine. So that's why the White Zinfandel is pretty sweet. And the way to find out is check the alcohol level. You can mention always check the alcohol content. The lower alcohol, the sweeter it is. The higher, the fuller, and the higher alcohol. I mean the drier it will be. So that's another one. That's Saunier. But you'll find rosé from all over the world now. For instance, I have it here from a very well-known producer in Napa Valley, Height Cellar. I really love this producer. It's Grinolino. It's a variety from northern part of Italy in Piedmont. It's a really great summer drink. It's more like a watermelon, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's all for the rosé. What else? I have something else to tell you. It's refreshing. Enjoy rosé. If you want some really nice rosé, just make sure you get from a very sort of like well-known producer, or if you don't familiar with producer, Provence rosé will be the safest what you can find. Just be careful not to get some like knockoff rosé, because there'll be a plenty of that in the market right now. Make sure if you want to really appreciate your rosé, just serve it around like 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too cold, because when it's too cold you kind of like can taste really the flavor of the rosé. They're beautiful. Most of them is gonna be like some red flowers in there, some berries, and it's really beautiful. Usually high in acid as well, so it's very refreshing. Yeah, enjoy your rosé. It's summer. It's a beautiful drink for summer, but just don't drink all this slushy kind of rosé, the frosé thing. Yeah, if that's what you want, just drink it. But drink rosé. It's a beautiful summer drinks. It's one of the oldest method of winemaking. And yeah, enjoy your summer. Thank you.